Thoughts on hatred. What is hatred? Why do we hate? Is hatred our primary impulse? It is very widespread, one might argue. But hatred is clearly a negative impulse, which is to say that it entails the loss of something or alienation from something. And how very often we think of hatred as being the opposite of love. Indeed, when we hate, we cannot love. But if we cannot love, then what prevents us from loving? What stops us from loving? What covers up our love? Is love repressed by something? And as a result of that repression, do we then start hating? Is hatred the result of an obstacle for love? What is it that stops us from loving others? Let us say there is someone that we wish to love. Well, something might prevent us from loving that person. It could be something that the person does. It could be something that we have heard. Now that something could be even a lie. In that case, it would be a lie that covers up love, represses it. Now, as a result of that repression of love, we might start hating. What is it that we hate? Do we hate people? Or do we hate something about people? Or do we hate fundamentally that condition of repression we find ourselves in? We hate not being able to love. Something does not allow us to love someone. It could be something someone did. It could be something someone said. It could be hearsay, something we have heard. It could be bad ideas, things that we hear that perhaps tell us that we cannot love, that somehow convince us that we cannot love, that love is not our primary way of life, our primary impulse, that we should keep love sedated, that others perhaps don't deserve being loved, that perhaps we should not, for whatever reason, love. And so our love remains repressed, unfulfilled, and as a result, covered up, so that our life, the life that we live on the surface, stands upon this repressed love beneath a screen, beneath a sheet, something that covers up this love, that keeps it at bay, that keeps it repressed. And then we build up our lives filled with all but love, based upon the repression of love. So lives filled with hatred, the absence of love. And fear, because we fear to love. We are afraid to love. So we have fear and hatred that are built upon the repression of love. Now, how do we recover from this condition? We could. Can we? Well, we would have to expose that surface that represses our love. whatever tells us that we should not love. It is, however, not merely what people do that stops us from loving. That alone does not stop us. It is considerations, thoughts, ideas that convince us that we should not love. There are thoughts that engender fear, fear of love, and that drive us to hate, to suspect others of being inimical, objects of hate, deserving to be hated as opposed to being loved. Now, to recover from a state of hatred, we would need to expose those views that repress our love, those views that convince us that a life of hatred and fear is preferable to one of love and of meaningful hope.